In this video, I'm going to be giving you a run through of a brand new feature for Zoho CRM called queries. So before I jump in, I do want to ask, if you find this video useful, please be sure to like and subscribe down below. And if you're in the process of building out Zoho, maybe you're new to the platform or you've been using it for a while and you feel like you need a little bit of help, just head on over to zenatta.com, click on book a meeting, and we'll be talking about how we can help out in no time. So without any further ado, let's jump right on in. So this is our article here going over queries inside of Zoho CRM. So really, what is a query and why do we need this? So when we're inside of a CRM, essentially, there's a lot of different cases where when we're in a particular record, whether it's an account, a contact, maybe a deal, we want to provide visibility for our users into certain subsets of data. Now, a lot of the times you can get there in CRM by just adding a lookup field, right? Maybe we're going to link that deal to a contact, and now on the contact record, I can see the list of all of the deals just under the native related list. Problem is, there are a lot of scenarios where we either want to filter that related list. So rather than seeing a list of all deals, maybe I want a list of all open deals. So I want to filter out closed won and closed lost. Maybe I'm pulling in data from somewhere else. So a really common requirement is, let's say you're in QuickBooks Online and you want to go into a CRM account and see all of the invoices and whether they're paid or open or whatever it may be. Well, that's something where you would need to do a script, reach over there, grab that data, bring it back, wrap it up in XML formatting, and then you could create a custom related list to do that. The problem is that's very non-trivial, right? It's tricky to build those. They require a lot of coding knowledge. You have to work with XML, which is a pain in the butt, even for people who are good at doing it. So Zoho's solution for that is this new query tool. So we're going to go through this article in detail. I'm going to show you exactly how it works. So first thing you're going to do is create the query. And what this is essentially the baseline of the data that you're looking to pull. So in this case, they're creating a query in this screenshot of deals based on the contact ID, right? So we're basically saying, give me a list of all the deals related to a particular contact. Down below in this field section, they're basically highlighting any of the fields that they want to include with this data when that query responds. Next is going to be our source. So a lot of the times you're going to be doing this just using Zoho APIs. Some of the time, though, you might be doing a pull from AWS, Azure, a MySQL database, QuickBooks Online, whatever it may be. So in that case, you will need to add some like header and parameter detail to like authenticate that connection when you reach out to do that third-party data source. Next, you're going to do your criteria and variables. So this is the real power here. So in this case, what they're doing is we're saying, hey, we're going to get our list of deals based on the contact ID, and we're going to filter those where the value of stage is closed won and the ID matches our contact ID, right? So we're saying, give me the list of closed won deals related to whichever contact I happen to be on when this query fires off. Next, you'll have the opportunity to run things through what's called a serializer. This is really just a little tool using some JavaScript to reformat data. So if we take a closer look here into this, what we're looking at is basically we've pulled in a piece of data that has somebody's full name and their designation or title. And maybe you want to display that as name, parentheses, title, right? Rather than having two columns in your table, maybe you just want one column for this. You can essentially use the serializer to combine those into the formatting that you would like in the middle as this query is happening. This is actually really nice because we do this all the time. Like maybe I'm pulling from QuickBooks and I want to show the customer name as like name dash customer ID, right? Because we need both of those, but we might not want to use two columns for it. Just for visibility. Last one here is essentially the schema. So here's where you were lining up all the different field types and labels that you would like for each of the values that's been pulled from the other platform. So this is really a case where like maybe in QuickBooks, they call it revenue, but inside of CRM, you want to call it amount, right? So you could go ahead and rename and assign the field types for each of these as you're actually pulling that query and as the data is flowing through the process. Lastly, now that you've got that query set up, you've got a couple different places that you can use it right now. It's going to come to more places over time. But we can either use it in the canvas view, which is awesome. So just basically adding a custom related list into our canvas, or we can add it to like a kiosk, right? Where I'm running through a kiosk process and then a certain search or query is going to run, and I'll be able to select from the results of that query. So down here below, we can take a look at the canvas view. So basically I'm in my canvas view, I'm coming to the bottom left and I'm selecting my queries subset here. Then I can choose to associate my query as either a field or a list. I'll tell you, like 9 times out of 10 here, I'd imagine people doing this as lists rather than particular fields. Then I can just drag it right into my canvas view, and we'll see up here at the top, we've got like our default related list that's showing the 2 different deals. Well, down below, I've got a filtered list that's only showing this top deal. So maybe I'm saying like, hey, only show me deals that are in a certain stage, and then we're going to highlight those. We're going to put them at the top of the page. We're going to say, hey, these are the things that need extra attention outside of this full subset of data. I'd see this a lot too for like quotes, right? Like quotes that are actually active rather than ones that are accepted or declined, and just being able to surface that in a much more clear and obvious space. The other option here, of course, is to embed them into kiosk studio processes. So a kiosk is kind of that like stateless path builder, right? Where we're able to build these complicated pathways that might refer to data across many different modules of Zoho. So as we're actually building out a particular screen in a kiosk, I can associate a query and I can have that query search for certain data. So in this case here, they're basically searching through and finding, hey, we're going to grab all of the information about a particular user, right? So as a part of this flow, we're going to grab the user ID, we're going to search that database, and then we're going to come back and display a certain subset of data. Then the output of those queries can also be associated into your decisions, right? So something like, hey, I'm going to get data about this user, and if they're in Oklahoma, we're going to process it via path A. If they're not, we're going to go down path B, right? So we're essentially just able to make that query without having to write any code and then use the output as a part of our kiosk flows. So before I wrap up, I do want to highlight that these are going to come to a couple different functionalities inside a CRM. So one, we'll be able to add them into list views. So there you're very likely going to be grabbing particular fields and then displaying them in the list. We'll be able to reference these in client scripts, which will be very useful. Again, one of the cool things with the client script is that, let's say that somebody like Zenatta were to build some type of function and the client wanted to change the type of data that it runs on. The client, it'd be much easier for them to learn this query than it would be for them to actually go into the code and make changes there. So kind of a nice, meaningful improvement to allowing more autonomy for non-coding users. And then lastly, we'll be able to add it to the standard view, which is something I'm really excited about. So this is basically similar to what we looked at up above on the canvas view, except you don't need to do it in a canvas, right? You could just do it in your normal record layout, which is what I use. And I think what the majority of clients end up using inside of Zoho. And again, the nice thing here is that like, if we think about that use case where I want to see quotes on an account, but only the ones that are active, before we'd have to do a custom related list and deal with XML formatting, writing code, doing more complicated development work, where now you could realistically set that up without any coding being involved at all and just drop it right into the system super easily for your team to be able to view. All right, and with that, we have covered it here for today on queries. So take a look at all this. Let us know if you want an in-app demo of queries. We're happy to make one for you. I know it's just a little bit more of a kind of technical, kind of nerdy element of Zoho, but I do really think that these are going to be useful for you. So let us know in the comments below. Do you want another follow-up video on this going into more detail, maybe in a demo account? Or does this video get you what you need and you'll be able to set these up? With that, as always, really do hope that this was useful for you. If it was, be sure to like and subscribe down below. That just makes sure that we know that we're doing the right thing here and making content that you are finding valuable. If it sparks any questions, feedback, or additional video requests, leave those in the comments section down below that like button, as we do try to read and respond to as many of those as possible every single week. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.